Hello everyone and welcome back to channel. In this CATIA tutorial, we will model a complete mechanical part. Step by step, you will learn how to use a sketcher, pad, pocket, rib, fillet, hole, thread and so on, while creating a real engineering component. Let's get started.
I was dreaming in my sleep, now wide awake, with CATIA by my side, there's no mistake. Always had a wish to create and design, now I'm building futures one line at a time. Could sketch a ship or design a plane, with CATIA every dream I can sustain. Stay with me, I'll show you how it's done, our journey to the stars has just begun. Dreams with CATIA come alive, stay tuned. In a world of possibilities, our talents boomed. From the sketch pad to reality, watch us soar. With every click and curve we crave for more. From the smallest bolt to towering steel, with CATIA our thoughts become real. Together we'll create wonders to see, in this world of design, just you and me. Step aside now, let's make.
Hello everyone. Today we are going to draw this shape together. First, as usual, we will examine the shape. The shape is made of a square base with dimensions of 70 by 70 millimeters. There is a cylinder in the middle of this base. The cylinder is vertical. This cylinder has two different diameters along its length. We also have a horizontal cylinder. The diameter of the horizontal cylinder is 40 millimeters and its total length is 70 millimeters. There is a flange on one side of this horizontal cylinder. The challenge of this shape is the internal slot and the rounded heads of the four small cylinders on the flange. Now we select the origin and the main axis. I place the origin at the center of the base square and the vertical axis along the vertical cylinder. First, I draw the square base. I enter the sketcher environment using the YZ plane. I use the rectangle tool for drawing. I add dimensions and position the square. For positioning, I first hold down the Ctrl key. Then I select two sides of the square and the desired axis in order. I activate the Constraint Define in dialog box tool. I select the Symmetry command. You can see that the square moved. I do the same for the other side. Remember that from the beginning and without these steps we could use the centered rectangle command. I return to the part environment. I use the pad command and give the square a thickness of 6 mm. Now you can see that the corners of the square are not rounded. We now have two ways to create fillets on the corners. The first way is to use the Edge Fillet tool in the part environment. But note that all elements we draw are created parametrically, so we can make changes in the settings window of that element. I use this method. I click on the plus sign next to the part body. Under it, a pad and a sketch are visible. I want to make changes to the sketch, so I double-click on a sketch. I enter its sketch environment. Note that you are not entering a new sketch environment. Now you can see the square that has dimensions and position constraints. I select the square by creating a selection box. I click on the corner command. I move the mouse inside the square. The fillets become visible. I click at any desired point. I click Yes in the displayed messages. Fillets are created at the four corners. I double-click on the value of one of the fillets. I enter the value 10. I exit the sketch environment. Now, as soon as I enter the part environment, two situations may happen. Either the body becomes red for a short moment and then updates and returns to its original color, or the body stays red. If the red color remains for you, click on the Update All tool in the Tools toolbar. The body will be updated. Again, I go to the sketch environment using the XY plane. I draw a circle at the origin with a diameter of 35 mm. I return to the part environment and create a pad with a height of 30 mm. Using the top surface of the first cylinder, I enter the sketch environment and draw a circle with a diameter of 50 mm. I position the circle concentrically with the first cylinder. I return to the part environment and create a pad with a height of 50 mm. Note that we could use the shaft tool to create both cylinders at the same time. Now I enter the sketch environment using the YZ plane. I draw a circle with a diameter of 40 millimeters. I set the distance of its center from both axes to 50 millimeters. I return to the part environment. Using the pad tool, I give the circle a thickness of 35 millimeters on one side and 30 millimeters on the other side. Now I enter the sketch environment using the surface of the horizontal cylinder. I want to draw the flange. I draw a circle with a diameter of 50 millimeters and position it. Now look at the shape. There are 4 rounded cylinders around this flange. The height of these 4 cylinders is 18 millimeters, while the height of the flange is 5 millimeters. So both sketches cannot be padded together in one step. But in the sketch environment, there are 2 tools called Profile Feature and Multi-Profile Features. I have already explained these 2 tools completely. By using these tools, we can draw several groups of elements in one sketch. Then we can create paths separately in the part environment. So now I want to draw these smaller circles as well. First, I draw several horizontal, vertical, and 45 degrees lines. Then I draw 2 circles with a suitable diameter at the intersection points of the diagonal lines and the first circle. I mirror these circles. I convert the lines into construction elements. Now I activate the Profile Feature command. I click on the larger circle. This circle becomes highlighted. I click OK in the Command Settings window. I return to the part environment. I activate the Pad command. I click on one of the small circles. All 4 circles become active together. I set the pad value to 18. I click OK. I activate the path command again. I click on the large circle. Make sure that the path direction is correct in each case. I set the path value to 5 mm. Now I activate the Edge Fillet tool. By selecting the edges of the small cylinders and confirming, you can see that the edges become spherical. In the Tool Settings window, I set the fillet radius to 8. Now I draw the connecting part between the vertical and horizontal cylinders. If you look at the shape, this part is tangent to the top surface of the horizontal cylinder. The center of the horizontal cylinder is 50 mm away from the XY plane. The diameter of the horizontal cylinder is also 40 mm. Therefore, the top surface of the connecting part is at a height of 70 mm. I create a plane parallel to the XY plane at 70 mm away from it. I enter the sketch environment using this plane. In the sketch environment, I rotate the shape a little to make sure my viewing position is correct. I click on the normal view tool so that the view becomes completely perpendicular. I draw and dimension the sketch. First, I create a projection from the 50 mm diameter circle. I draw a vertical line with a suitable length. I make it tangent to the circle from one side. I trim the extra part of the line behind the circle. Now the length of the line must be enough to be tangent to the top surface of the horizontal circle. This length is 50 mm. Remember that the center to center distance between the two circles was 50 mm. Since the line is limited by the circle on one side, it extends from the other side. Now I mirror the line about the vertical axis. I connect the two free ends of the lines with a horizontal line and remove the extra part of the circle. I return to the part environment. Using the path tool, I give the sketch a height of 40 mm downward. Important note, you must draw this part after the flange, otherwise you will get an error when rounding the heads of the smaller cylinders. Of course, it is also possible to move commands in the specification tree. If you look carefully at the shape, there is a rectangular part on the other side of the horizontal cylinder. The dimensions of the rectangle are 30 by 30 millimeters and its height is 5 millimeters. I draw this rectangle using the centered rectangle tool. I project the circumference of the cylinder circle. I position the square relative to the circle. With the help of this projection, I trim the corners of the square. Using the quick trim command, I remove the extra parts of the circle. I activate the sketch analysis command and check the sketch. I return to the part environment and create a path of 5 millimeters. I want to create 2 ribs. First, I enter the sketch environment using the YZ plane. I create an intersect from the 50 mm diameter circle. I convert the lines into construction elements. Now I draw a diagonal line. I apply coincidence to its upper and lower ends. I return to the part environment. I activate the rib command and create a rib with a thickness of 4 millimeters. Again, I enter the sketch environment using the YZ plane. I create an intersect projection from the 35 mm diameter cylinder. I convert the projection into a construction element. I draw a vertical line with a length greater than 30 mm. I make its lower end coincident with the edge of the rectangular base. I set the distance of the line from the projected edge to 14 millimeters. I return to the part environment. I activate the rib command. I create the rib with a thickness of 4 millimeters. Now I want to create the slot inside the part. For this I need a plane. Based on the given dimensions of 15 mm and 22 mm, this plane is 43 mm from the bottom. I enter the sketch environment using this plane. First, I activate the cut part by a sketch plane command. In this mode, the shape is shown cut in half at the sketch plane location. Now I draw and position the shape. I return to the part environment. I create a pocket with a depth of 22 mm. Look, the create pocket has cut part of the horizontal cylinder. First, I adjust the view direction and then activate dynamic sectioning by selecting the YZ plane. You can see that the created pocket is not symmetrical. I set the height of the sketch plane to 39 mm. I activate the dynamic sectioning command again. You can see that the created pocket becomes symmetrical relative to the cylinder. So the value of 15 mm was too large. Now I create the holes. First, I create the 25 mm diameter hole from the bottom of the part. I create the groove around this hole at the intersection with the pocket slot. I create the M36 thread. I used the hole tool in the part environment. I check it using the thread analysis tool. I also create the holes of the horizontal cylinder. Now I create the holes on the flange. They are M8 threaded holes with a depth of 10 millimeters. Now I create chamfers on the whole edges. First, I set the display mode to wireframe. I find and select the edge. Now I want to create a fillet on the inner and upper edge of the 35 mm diameter hole. First, I set the display mode to wireframe. I find and select the edge. I activate the fillet command and set the radius value to 1. I click OK. The only thing left is the external fillets. Well, the exercise is finished here. I hope you find it useful. Please watch the video carefully, then draw it yourself. Good luck, goodbye until the next lesson.
Let's build the future, come with me.